7 o'clock. After the pledge, if you remain standing in a moment of silence to honor the past and present members of the Lockport Township Fire Protection District and those serving in the U.S. military. And Dave, would you start the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee McCluskey?
here.
Trustee Siegel?
Here.
Trustee Meter?
Here.
Trustee Pell?
Here.
Trustee Paglia?
Here. The next item is matters of the public. If anybody would like to address the board, feel free. Yeah, obviously, there's no one here, so we'll move on to the approval of the minutes.
March 29th or 26th. So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Trustee Pell?
Yeah.
Trustee Paglia?
Yes.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Item 2 is the approval of the closed session minutes dated March 26th.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Trustee Pell?
Yes.
Trustee Paglia?
Yes.
Next item is the treasurer's report. Bob?
Okay, the first page will show there at the end of March, the district had 11.2 million in the local financial institutions. The second page shows where that 11.2 million is spread out through the 9 funds within the district. And the third page shows comparison to where we were last year at the end of March. Just quickly at the top there, we had roughly 500,000 more in revenue compared to last year. And the bottom shows we're at about 760-some thousand more in expenditures. And the expenditures, various reasons, personnel is higher, plus we paid off some loans and bought a couple and paid for a couple ambulances and actually higher pension contribution too this year. And I will entertain any questions if we have them.
Any questions of Bob?
I would just ask if you could if you could explain to the board as well as maybe people who might be watching at home. We're talking about having millions of dollars in the bank. What that's for, why we have that. Most people think that that's incredible that we have that kind of money in the bank, and don't understand the financial position of the district. And so if you could explain a little bit about why we have that kind of money.
Sure. First, it shows the second page of the report shows the 9 funds in the district, and that the last line shows the balance in those funds. And as you can see, like the vehicle fund, we have 2.3 million, capital fund 1.1 million, and the OPEB fund 1.3 million. For example, the OPEB fund is other post-employment benefits. That's to pay for when firemen retire, we pay for their health insurance. And so that liability is actually higher than the 1.3 million, but at least we're contributing and building up for future expenditures. And with the vehicle fund, we know we're gonna, after so many years, we need new engines. Just like this past year, we buying 2 new ambulances. Now we feel it's if we had the money available, it's better to pay cash instead of financing. Same with the capital fund. We know eventually we're going to have to do something to improve Station 1, so we've been trying to sock a little money away, knowing that expenditure is in the future, that it's something that, we can't avoid. And the balances in the fire and ambulance fund are operating funds. That's actually carry us over for, and our end of the fiscal year is coming up here at the end of April. We don't start receiving tax revenue until June, so we need money to help us get through those months. Kind of help?
Yeah, because I again, it's been a learning process for myself. I don't know about any of the other newer board members, but when you look at this and people say, well, you have all this money, you're overtaxing, and limitedly perhaps we are, but I just want the people at home to understand that we're putting money aside for known expenditures that we're going to have, and that this isn't money just waiting to be spent. It's money in savings for equipment and so forth. So, a very good portion of what we have is just saving for what we know is periodically going to be replacement of equipment. And a lot of people at home don't appreciate that. Well, you just go out and borrow the money. Well, we don't want to borrow the money if we can. So if people look at this fund balance and don't think, well, boy, you got all kinds of money to spend, let's spend it. And so for myself as well as for other people that may not understand the process, it's good for that understanding. Thank you.
Can I toss in a couple of points on that, though? Your auditors and accountants will recommend local governments have 3 to 6 months. 3 is the minimum and 6 is more preferred of your operating funds on hand at any one time. Fire districts are 90% reliant on property taxes. You don't get other funds other than really your ambulance funds. It's not like a municipality where maybe 10% of the money is in property taxes. School districts vary all over the state. A good chunk of their revenue comes from the state and a little bit from the federal government. So a fire district in particular, when you get your lumps of money in 2 times throughout the year in less than a 6-month time period, and then you've got about 8 months before you get any more money, you have to carry those balances just to get through. And so a lot of people don't understand that factors in as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on. I'll entertain a motion to
So moved.
approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Chalia?
Yes.
Trustee Pell?
Yes.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Next item is the bills, the approval of the bills. I entertain a motion to approve them at $386,620.31.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
The bill to Jacobs for $2,100. If Gary were here, able to do full duty, is that something perhaps he would have been able to handle? Or that looks like it's not heavy equipment? I assume it's a pickup or?
That is a van that the fire investigation team uses, and it was running rough. Had to go in for diagnostics because that's on a workhorse chassis. Gary does not have that equipment, and as it turns out, they had to replace all the fuel injectors, which is a tear off the top of the motor. So the answer is no, we would not have been able.
Is it gas or diesel?
That one is gas.
That's gas. The 5 treadmills and the strength training equipment, does that $39,000 represent the full cost, or is that participated in by the insurance fund?
That is the full cost of the equipment, and last week we received a 50% reimbursement from the county.
So we'll make this disbursement, but half of that will come back to us. So actually, our out-of-pocket cost will be half of this.
That is correct.
So I thought we were going to do, and I just didn't know how that was going to be handled. The Menards, Do we have a credit card with Menards?
We have an account. Yes.
Okay. Because I have a commercial account there, and it just looks like we're making out multiple checks here. No?
That's one check. Those are all individual invoices from different times, but it's just one check.
Okay, all right, so that it's like paying off a charge card, because you get, usually like a 2% rebate if you have their Menards commercial account, and not that 2% is a whole lot, but it's better than a stick in the eye. So if we don't have a card, we should apply for one to get, a couple % back from them. That's all I have.
Anything else, gentlemen? Roll call, please.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Trustee Paglia?
Yes.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Pell?
Yes. The next item is a motion to approve the disbursements in the amount of $30,845.24.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I assume all the Prairie Bluff is for the awards banquet?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And it's shown as two separate lines, but there again, that was one check.
Okay. I was not able to attend because of a prior commitment. Hopefully things went well, maybe we'll be talking about it, but I wanted to extend my apologies for not being able to be there. It's important to support all the good things that go on here. And I would have been there if I could have, but I just could not get out of a fundraiser that I had to attend.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Paglia?
Yes.
Trustee Pell?
Yes.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Next item is the attorney's report. Carl?
Dave, I have a couple things. First of all, at the last meeting, the board directed us to file the usual objection to the annexation performed by the Village of Romeoville. That will be filed on May 2nd. I have communicated with the attorneys for the village. This will be done by agreement pursuant to the intergovernmental agreement between the district and the village, so that matter will be handled. The other thing is an update on the revised Board of Trustees policies. We would like for you to expect some time at both your May and June meetings, if possible, to review the changes. We have gotten a draft of our proposed changes to the chief, received some comments back. We're working on getting the document now to the board, and we think it would be appropriate to review it at the meeting before you adopt it. We think it needs to be done in probably 2 meetings, just given the detail that we think it deserves. Yes?
With respect to the Romeoville, we haven't agreed to pay. You're just working with the attorneys.
Correct. No, we don't pay anything under that agreement. How it works is there was a boundary intergovernmental agreement and shared service agreement between Romeoville and Lockport Township Fire Protection District. So that any territory within a defined area that Romeoville annexes into the village, the fire district files an objection to the automatic disconnection of that territory. Section 20 of the Fire Protection District Act says that when a municipality that has a fire department annexes territory, it is automatically disconnected from the fire protection district and brought under their jurisdiction for fire protection, unless the fire district objects. So the intergovernmental agreement part that we're working under now says that the fire district files its objection, the village agrees to concede to that objection, and that's what will happen this time. So the territory will be in the municipality of Romeoville, but will remain in the fire district.
That's part of the overall 10-year-old agreement whereby we will continue to protect areas that are within the city. And so this isn't just attachment to a statute at the state. This is a predetermined agreement or pre-agreed. When this happens, this is what happens and what a remedy is. So that it's kind of we know the answer, but we have to jump through the hoops.
Correct. And it's something that was determined at the time the shared service agreement was entered into. We do need to rely on the portion of the state statute that provides the mechanism to get into court to prevent the automatic disconnection. If we do nothing, it's automatically disconnected from your district and the county will cease allowing you to tax that area. But the agreement between the two local bodies is that we do by agreement.
Carl has some things as well.
Post-hearing brief in the Manning, number of personnel to be required on duty at all times. Grievances, if it wasn't filed today, it'll be filed tomorrow. Under the contract, the arbitrator has 30 days after the receipt of the briefs to issue the decision. Hopefully she will be able to do so in the 30 days. There's no penalty if the arbitrator doesn't get it done timely. Some of them are much better than others at doing so, and it just depends on how busy they are and how backed up she might be on writing brief decisions. But hopefully we'll know that in the next 30 to 60 days at most. We do want to have a closed session to talk about collective bargaining issues. Also, the Rob Cronholm has appealed the pension fund's decision into the circuit court under administrative review. We were served as a district because we intervened at the pension board on your behalf. The question is going to be for you to give us direction on whether you wish to have us file an appearance and participate at all in that appeal, or just let Mr. Cronholm and the pension fund deal with it. It would be my recommendation that we not participate other than file an appearance, just so that we don't get a default judgment against the district and say that we're not going to do anything more. That we will allow the pension fund to handle everything and not participate.
When Rob files against the district, are we named as individually as board members?
No, it is the pension fund and the members of the pension fund, and then the district as a district only. And then the 4 intervening firefighters as well, because they intervened as parties as the district did before the pension fund. And on administrative review, you have to name all the participants in order to have the proper jurisdiction in the court. If they didn't name everybody, that would be grounds for a motion to dismiss.
So exactly what are we liable for, if you will? I understand that we were in it to begin with on his behalf, on Rob's behalf.
Well, on the district's behalf, because the district was the entity that set up the administrative position that he then fulfilled. So that's why we were there to say this is what the intent was when we did this. That was how we participated before the pension fund on your behalf.
Okay, on the board's behalf?
On the
Or
board's
the district's behalf?
Yeah.
Okay, so we weren't an intervener for Rob. We were...
Because the district has an interest in making sure that the pension fund's decision was consistent with the facts of how that position was created, what the intent of the Board of Trustees was at the time. And then the question was, did Mr. Cronholm, as the administrator, stay within the confines of what the district expected of that position, not to be a firefighter position? And the pension fund decision said that for a period of about 6 months there was re-entry into active service, and then after that there was not, so it's consistent with the Department of Insurance opinions. And then The only part of the decision that I really take issue with is then ordering a refund of about $17,000, if I remember correctly. And I think there's a chance of success by Mr. Cronholm on that, because I don't know that there's any authority for the pension fund to do that action.
Okay.
But I don't think they need, as a district, to intervene and to argue that point. Let the pension fund and Mr. Raja, on behalf of Mr. Cronholm, do it.
Okay, so the then board hired Rob to be chief administrator, and then 6 months later hired him to be administrator. So which contract are were we defending, if you will, or explaining our position in the case? Were we saying that when the later one, when he was hired as administrator, this was our intent? Or when we hired him as chief administrator without a chief, which is the crux of the case, do we say that that's what we hired him for?
It was both. The issue before the pension fund dealt with both time periods, both job descriptions, but what was going on and the actual performance of the duties as either chief administrator or administrator was the crux of the case.
Okay, so we said that although we did not have a replacement chief, that he was not the chief anymore, but he was chief administrator, and then that changed when we hired the chief and made him just administrator?
Correct.
So we differentiated our intent. It changed from one contract or one...
Not significantly, Paul, because the position that was created was to be a non-firefighter position. Whether the title was chief administrator or administrator, it was intended to be a position that had no firefighting responsibility. And one was done quick and easy. The other one was like, okay, let's go back, let's do the job description. More patterned after a village administrator one, and instead of after a fire chief job description, which was what we had done initially. And then the board initially wasn't wanting to immediately appoint another fire chief, and then later decided they would appoint the fire chief. And I think all along that was the preferred method, preferred model from our office. But it took a few months to get to that point.
Okay. So can you restate your recommendation?
Recommendation is for us just to file an appearance on behalf of the district and basically a motion to adopt or a motion to somehow tell the court, while we're appearing, we're not intending to spend any more time on this matter, but we don't want to default judgment against the district for not appearing. And there's nothing really coming back to the district. There's no count against the district at this point.
So if I make a motion, can I make a motion based on the recommendation of the attorney?
Do you need a...
I would prefer for you to authorize us to at least file an appearance and then just simply monitor the case.
So moved. Second.
So that would be to not reaffirm anything, just an appearance and not be a defense or...
Right. We won't argue one side or the other. We'll just
listen.
Sit there and clip.
We may not even go and listen.
Would it be to file an appearance to not default?
To file an appearance and to monitor the case only.
We got a roll call, please.
Yes. Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Trustee Pell?
Yes.
Trustee Palia?
Yes.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
I think, Sharon,
Yes.
Gordy made the motion, so we get it right. I second
I'm
it.
sorry, okay, and Henry second.
So it's in the minutes, right?
I have it that I just didn't
Yeah.
roll call it that way, I apologize.
Okay, Carl, what else do we have?
Under the new business, Dave covered number 4, and number 5 is one that we'd like to talk about after the closed session. So when you get down to new business number 4, we've already covered, and number 5, after closed session, we'll come back out and talk about it.
Both of those?
Just number 5. Number
Just
4,
number 5?
Number 4, Dave just updated you saying in the next few weeks, we'll get you guys in advance of the meeting the draft showing the proposed changes, and then in May and June, review the policy manual.
You already did that,
Yeah,
so we don't need number 4.
correct.
Okay. And number 5 we'll do after.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Chief, your report, please?
Well, good evening and go Hawks.
Yeah.
On the floor, out the door.
Moving right along.
My report, I'll let stand as presented, but I do want to point out a couple of items. Item number 3 on my list, I want to thank the Board of Trustees for your continued support of the annual awards banquet. Trustee Siegel, as mentioned, it was announced that night. I expressed your regrets to everybody there. And I do want to make sure for the record that Lieutenant Bill Piper and Lieutenant Bill Blasky do get recognized. Did a lot of work. In fact, they did all the work. So they did a great job. Other than that, item number 6 on my report talks about National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. The district did sponsor a happy dinner for the dispatchers at Westcom. And in the packet is a copy of the letter I sent to Westcom on behalf of the district. Number 7 talks about some insurance issues. We'll finalize that next week. We did do interviews today for the fire inspector's position. We interviewed 5 people. I will update the board how that's going next month, but that's a follow-up of what the board approved last fall. We were just waiting for the right time.
Are we going to carry 5 then?
We'll go up to 5, correct. 5 part-timers. Item number 9 also discusses the annual state of the address for the city of Lockport. Many of the trustees were present. I thought it was a pretty energetic presentation. If any of the board members want to talk about that later, I invite you to. But what's not on here is the Illinois Fire District Conference flyer I passed out tonight. Trustee Palia did attend that last year. Typically, it's one district members have not gone to, but Trustee Palia did attend last year. So if you have any questions about that, I would forward them to him. The Fire Chief Symposium is going to be in Peoria on May 14, 15, 16, and unless there's any objections, the Deputy Chief, Battalion Chief Firstman, and myself will be attending that. So we'll be down in Peoria on May 14, 15, and 16. And just giving the boards a heads up that at the next district meeting, we'll need some time to do annual reviews for the chief, the deputy chief, battalion chiefs. It's that time of year for the administrative staff to get reviewed by the board. There are other letters of thank you from the community in the packet for your review, and as well as overtime, call volume, fire prevention reports. And unless the board has any questions about my report.
Mr. Driscoll thinks a whole lot of Mr. Curry, right? Nice job.
It was a little emotional talking to him down there. Actually, I visited my father's grave down. He come up to me and he's talking to me, then he started tearing up, and he was searching for his wife's grave for like an hour and couldn't find it. So I helped him find it, and he's asking, how do you get out of there? I told him, I figured, I better wait a while just to make sure. And I waited for like a half hour, 45 minutes watching, and of course he went the wrong way, so I found him, showed him how to get back to Joliet, and he kept following me. I'm thinking, I better pull over. So he followed me in the crest, so I pulled over and talked to him for quite a while. And I kind of led him to where he was familiar with the area and got him back home, so. But he was like 86, 88-year-old, fat, and very nice guy.
I think that must have been a Korean War, not World War I,
I
right?
think he was in, Korea. He told me he was in the Korean. Nice guy.
Okay, Chief,
Sir.
as far as going to that association meeting in Springfield, in lieu of the fact that we are contemplating fire engines, I presume that some of that equipment will be displayed down there. Is there any reason to, for any of us to go for that reason? Or is that not the kind of equipment that they're going to have on display there?
I don't know, but I told them to pay cash.
I don't think they do much like the years ago. Hey, Dave, you were down, they don't have much.
They have quite a bit of equipment,
Oh, they do?
yeah.
Where do they
Between the
show?
two hotels,
Oh, it's not like it was years past.
they close the street
And it's indoors.
between the hotel president with the Hilton. Then they run them up there, the fire trucks down there, ambulances inside,
And in the convention center inside, they
yeah.
have some other equipment.
So pretty close to it like it used to be at the other end. A little different layout though.
So in answer to your question, this is one of the arenas that if you'd like to go look at what some of the products are on the market, it is. Internally, we are working on formulating our vehicle committee, and after we get that formulated and start talking with the actual salesmen, they'll take us up to their factories, up to the current vendor we use is in Wisconsin. Without a problem, I'll take you up there and show you everything you want to know about.
Okay, I just didn't know whether if they're showcasing equipment without going to one manufacturer or the other, I just thought that it might be a good learning experience since we're going to spend some money. All right, now we already bought some ambulances, so that's kind of water under the bridge at this point. But not that you guys can't make a good decision, but I don't know. It's a lot of money to be spent, and I didn't know whether your experience would indicate that maybe that'd be a good idea, or if it's a waste of time.
They do have equipment on display, and I would refer to our trustee tell you on whether it's a waste of time.
Not a waste of time. Plus the sessions, the continuing education sessions. That's the first ones I did last year, and I went down there.
Was it a day, night, and come back in 2 days?
You could have done it any way you want. There was the 3 of them. I did the one on Saturday morning, and the last one I did the other one up there, 2 down.
The conference is Thursday through Sunday, I believe, with most of it Friday and Saturday.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, can I move on? John, do you have
Actually, I was out of commission for the last few weeks. I need to turn in my report, but I got to use our services and. Yes, everything's good. Almost 100%. I did get to use our services. The guys did a great job. So.
I knew who you were, and they still took care of you.
He's a team player. He knew our ambulance billing was down a little, so he...
I didn't want to call him, but sometimes you have to do it.
Okay, thanks, John. The next item under unfinished business is the Station 1 project.
That's just pending, you can move on.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to new business. The EMS Billing Ordinance update, Dave.
In your packet tonight, you will notice you have a district memo that explains that our current EMS billing policy was adopted in 2010. Changes have affected our industry by the Affordable Care Act in Washington. So it's prudent to revisit this ordinance and update the charges. As part of our way of keeping the board informed, in your package we've included the 2010 ordinance that was adopted by the board. We gave you a lengthy list of charges of other districts and fire departments in the Chicago market. And then we gave you a proposed new ordinance to accept at tonight's meeting with revised EMS billing numbers. Also on the cover sheet, we tried to justify for you the reason why this is needed. If you want me to go through the list, I can. Otherwise, it's there for you to read. But how can I help you?
So, okay, I'm having a hard time figuring out. We're raising the fee, is that correct?
Correct.
And we're raising it from,
Well, you got 4 different things, Charles.
yeah.
Would you like me to read the new one?
Yeah, would you go, I mean, I got that in front of me, but on this computer here,
Sure.
I can't flip back and forth quick, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I will do the resident fee schedule. As per the 2010 resident fee schedule was a $650 charge for BLS. We're suggesting you go to $750. Like ALS support 1 was $750. We're suggesting you go to $850. ALS 2 was $850. We're suggesting you go to $950. And mileage was $8 a mile. We're suggesting $9 a mile. There was a whole other set for non-residents. Did you want me to review those?
I don't think so.
Okay. The ordinance is the same. Of importance probably to the board members is section number 2 of the ordinance. I'm sorry, section number 3. The billing policy for the district residents does not change. So the way we're operating today does not change. Which meaning that if their insurance or Medicare or Medicaid doesn't pay, the district does not ask for them.
Okay.
In what ways are we affected by Obamacare? I mean, this is obviously, we're raising fees here, making more money, whatever. How other than raising fees, how are we affected? Are there some other costs that are associated that are required us to offset income, or how are we affected?
We're affected because, good question. How we're affected is 60 to 70% of all our calls fall under Medicare or Medicaid. Medicare being older people, Medicaid being people who are uninsured. Those two programs, which are both either state or federal run, have a flat dollar amount. So we could charge $10,000 for an ambulance call. All we're going to get from Medicare is, I think it was like $450 was the average. All we're going to get from Medicaid is like $225. That's it, no matter how much we charge. Those numbers have been reduced from what they were previously under the Affordable Health Care Act. So that's the answer.
So we're offsetting the non-Medicare, Medicaid runs with raising the rates on those to help offset the reduction on the 80% or 70% to try to stay whole over the 100%.
We're increasing the rates to try to keep up with what our costs are. So how affordable health care affected us is that it's reducing the amount we're getting for charges that we already had. We're increasing our rates because we believe that it costs us more than it did 4 years ago to operate the business. And insurance industries, people who are insured, that insurance will pay whatever it costs them. So we're trying to keep up with the market.
So, but the way that we're being affected by Obamacare is that under 78% of our billing is being reduced what we can collect because they're paying less, and we're already charging under cost, if you will, for the services.
That's a good way of putting it.
A lot of people talking about all these things that Obamacare is doing, and you can blame a lot of things on it, or you can credit a lot of things. And so, just so that I understand, maybe other people understand more the effect that it's having on us and on them, because they're the ones paying the bills for the district. These are user fees that are not being paid by the whole.
I think we're pretty much in comparison with Homer's, as I was reading the chart.
Yeah, and that was the idea of giving you the chart to let you know what others in the area are charging, and we're bringing our rates right up to where theirs are.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2014-01.
Second. Absent.
We're not taking a break this time. Go ahead.
Okay.
She wants you to call the roll.
We got a second? Sorry, roll call, please.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Trustee Pelt? And Trustee Palia?
Yes.
Thank you.
The next item is Dave, the landscaping, the contract.
For the last couple of years at Station 6, because there are so many planting beds here, we've hired a company called Touchdown Landscape Service. What they do is our bush trimming and weed control in all of the planting beds. Last year, we went out and got competitive quotes, and nobody can touch this guy's price last year. This year, he's giving us the exact same price as last year, $1,280 for the whole season. So it's our recommendation that we continue this. There is a contract here. I asked for board concurrence to direct the chief to enter into that agreement.
This is not mowing the grass, this is just taking care of the beds.
Just the beds.
And who is mowing the grass?
The guys. Guys take care of mowing the grass.
Can we get red mulch?
Can we?
Can you?
We can get whatever color you'd like.
Red goes with the fire department.
Bright red?
Yeah.
Fire engine.
I actually have a price upstairs for remulching the beds here, and I just didn't bring it to this board meeting. I was going to bring it to the next one.
That's okay.
Do we want to remulch before it's necessary, or when we do remulch, we want to change colors?
It's due now.
That's
Okay.
necessary.
Every other year, we didn't do it last year, we do this year.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract.
So moved.
Second?
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Siegel?
Yes.
Trustee Palia?
Yes.
Trustee Meter?
Yes.
Trustee Pelt?
Yes.
Trustee McCluskey?
Yes.
Okay, item 3 is a move to, move the trustee and commissioners pay till to July 1st. Dave, you want to talk about that?
This was placed on the agenda not knowing what's going to happen with the upcoming commissioner appointment. The commissioner appointment is up in June. And it's been the district's practice to pay the trustees and commissioners in May. If a different commissioner gets appointed in June, then we're paying somebody who's not going to be here. So we wanted to bring this, and you can see this is listed as an item for discussion.
What?
I think it's a good idea to move that because you got trustee changes, you got commissioner changes, so
I thought they were all the same.
Trustees are in May.
trustees remain and June is the commissioner. So if you push it back to the June meeting, it covers both trustees and commissioners.
We're suggesting this make it July 1st.
So I think it's a good idea, I don't have a problem.
So this would be both commissioners and trustees, changing the vote.
And here's, the reality is because the elections are always in spring, you can leave the trustees where they are and just do the commissioners pay July 1st. But that's a board decision.
Where does July 1st come in? The memo doesn't say July 1st. Tell me why.
Okay. On the agenda.
It does in
It
the
says
memo.
June.
In the
May
top
to
of the
June,
memo.
not May to July. So you meant May to July?
That's what I meant.
Well, it says paid to July instead of May. In the note.
That's straight one.
I thought the commissioners, that we paid them all, everybody the
It
same
says
time.
May to June.
You
yeah.
do,
But if for some reason you wanted someone other than what we have as a commissioner, Pat is the one that's up for, to be reelected.
Okay.
So we would pay her, and then let's say she wasn't our new commissioner, then we paid her, and
She should be a month.
Paid for a year.
If you make them both the same, you can only push it back.
Well, we don't have to make them both the same. I mean,
Well, you don't have to.
commissioners can stay the way, or trustees can stay where they are because elections aren't changing and they're seated in May, so that would be fine.
Did we ever have this problem before?
Because they were paid twice a year before.
So it's information we can't act on, correct?
Correct. What now?
It's an information items
Oh,
we can't act
action
on.
next month then. Correct.
But you could give direction to put it on the agenda one way or the other for trustees and commissioners for approval at the next meeting.
I like to leave commissioners or trustees the way they are, not changing it, and, you know, being a separation and making the commissioners get payment be in July.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. And then you got two different ones, right? I mean, in
Trustees
case
pay once and
this ever happens again, right?
Well, it should be done, it should be it. Should be locked in.
We'll put that on the May agenda.
So you're going to leave the commissioners that...
yes, they are.
Okay, and the trustees as they are, and the commissioners will be
Move back to July payment rather
July.
than...
Yeah, it's just, okay, I understand that philosophy. Okay,
Well, just so everybody understands, we got a commissioner like next month.
that's right.
And then appointment is done by the president
For the board.
of the board, with our approval.
Yeah, that's most.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, Doe or whatever.
if you, now, the way we've done it in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Carl, is that if someone had someone that they thought would be a good fit for a commissioner, they would bring the name to the board, okay? And basically, if the board says that's a good choice, then that they would have a vote, okay? You can also, you can also reappoint the person that's already there. You know, and it's all a voting process, correct, Carl?
Yeah, you can,
Anybody can be nominated by the board, and if voted on by the board, it's not a presidential appointment.
correct. The only presidential appointment is the pension fund, two
Exactly.
members. So this is a board decision of whether to reappoint, and if you do not reappoint, whom would you appoint?
That's what I was,
In what month do we do that?
Next month.
The term is up in June, so typically you act in May, at least to determine whether you're going to reappoint. The individual currently serves until a successor is named and appointed if you don't reappoint.
Last year that was done in May. It was done a month or two earlier.
So in other words, we could get a name that only one person on the board knew.
Well, they could bring it forward, and if only one person wants them, then it would die for lack of a second, or die, or move forward.
correct.
This is the first time there'll be a 5-member board doing this. So the rules don't change at all because of a 5-member from a 3-member, right?
Correct. Well, it does, yes, it does change.
The number
You have
of
to
votes.
have three, you need 3 votes.
Right, but the process doesn't, is really
No,
different.
the process stays the same.
And it was our intention to bring that on the May board, at the May board meeting. The commissioner discussion.
And I think last year, in between meetings, it was suggested that if anybody had names of someone, that they be either sent to the president or to the chief, so that those names could be in our packet, so that when we got to the meeting, it wasn't the first time we heard about this person.
Right.
And hopefully a resume if someone, you have someone of interest, so that when we get our packets, we know about everybody that are proposed.
Is this information that you're asking for, Paul, just for the incumbent commissioner, or just for any new people that you would like to look at?
Well, I don't, in the past, You know, I got an email saying that if I had anybody that I wanted to recommend for appointment, that name come forward, same as it did for when you guys were appointed. So that night's not the first time the rest of the board members hear about this person. I think everybody knows who the incumbent is, and so I don't think that needs, should need to be revetted, if you will.
How long has she served?
9 years. It might not be a bad idea, even if you can email us a little bit of background on her, so that everybody is not just voting for the reappointment, but I would like to get that information. It'd be a good thing to have. So I guess to answer your question, yeah.
You don't really need all the help.
You don't need it because you know better than the rest of us.
We'll send it out to the board along with just a reminder that if there's any other people the board wants to send it through the chief, and I'll make sure it gets distributed to all board members.
Okay. We'll move on. Is there anything else under new business that we haven't already touched on?
Coming back to that.
They're coming back to?
Right.
Item 5?
On 4, how many pages are you going to ship electronically?
A couple hundred.
I want you to print mine.
You want it printed?
I do.
Let's see, print it too.
I think it'd be a good idea to print them for everybody.
All right, we'll do double-sided printing copies for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care about the number of pages, it's just how long my printer takes to print them.
Yep, I understand.
Now I'm ready for 5, Chair.
Thank you. 5 we'll talk about after closed session, and I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
For the purpose of,
Collective negotiating matters.
that's it.
Second.
That's it. That's 5 ILCS 120/2C2.
And no eminent,
Just number 2.
and no eminent, or litigation.
Probable or imminent. No. Unless you want to talk more about the
Blackout drops.
pending criminal case or...
I don't know if we will or not, but I want to be able to talk about it.
Okay, the motion could also include number 4, pending probable or imminent litigation, in case we do go off on topic. Have it in.
So it's 2 and 4.
Will that cover the new business?
Addressed.
I understand what you're asking.
term sinking fund
Tell me what time.
in meetings, a sinking fund. When we were replenished in
7:53.
in meetings, I didn't know if you
Who
were
made the
municipal.
motion?
I made the motion. Did somebody second it? Did anybody second it?
No.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes, please.